So here we go again, and before we move on to the baseboards, which is going to be in the next video, I thought I'd show you the plan, and specifically using any rail. So this is any rail as it is started up. What I've got here is my track, which I'm using Pico Streamline code 75. So this is the blank canvases, if you like. And as I said before, every time I change the plan substantially, I save a new version. So 46 is the most recent version. There's the loft hatch, there's the chimney breast, which is boxed in now, which is why it's got this big grey block. So that's the boxed in part, and the Velux window is roughly about here. Now, as I said in previous videos, I've probably gone overboard with the track. Originally I was going to have 3 loops, but then I've decided, well, I've got the space, why not have 4 loops? So I can have 4 trains running continuously round a loop. And not just that, but if you look at this yellow loop, which I've actually called the freight line, it's a folded loop, so it's like a figure 8 folded over on itself. So it gives the impression, if you come down here, of 5 tracks, but there's actually only 4. Now, as my only experience with trains has been train sets when I was young, I think Flying Scotsman, Hornby train set was the last thing I got when I was young. This is probably a little bit too ambitious, but you know, in for a penny. And there's no rush, it's a hobby after all, so I'll take my time. It's already been modified a lot because there used to be a station here, a little station here, before I realised that this space is very narrow between the loft hatch and the ceiling sort of thing, so that's not going to happen. There was also a curved station here, which I had to ditch. And now this turntable isn't going to be there. I just wanted to do something with this space here. So either this space or this space. I was probably going to have some scenic development and some extra track. So if I zoom in anywhere, all the action's at the top, essentially. So the red and the green, they're the main line. And as you can see, it goes through the station. And this platform here, hopefully, is long enough to get 5 coaches on. That's what I'm hoping anyway. The green one obviously isn't. If I show you the original plan, this is the original plan. It was based on a book called PSL, Book of Model Railway Track Plans by Cyril Freezer. Cyril Freezer, of course, done many great track plans. So this is what I've based the station on, this bit here. As you can see, it's got that curve as it comes around the 2 lines, and you've got the through track in the middle to allow trains to pass through without hindering operation of the station, which I really liked. Cyril Freezer calls it Tresco, but I haven't actually got a name for it yet. But it's based on this. What I discovered was, though, if you look at his squares, I think it's about 14 feet from edge to edge. I had to severely chop a few squares out because I just didn't have as much as I thought. If we go back to my plan, we see edge to edge. My little squares here, by the way, are 25 centimetres to give us a little bit more precision. I had to severely reduce the width here available in the station, which has made this platform very small, which is unfortunate, but I just couldn't fit it in. Not without using very tight curves, and as you can see, I've got the radius on here. So this green line here is 600 millimetre, 2 feet radius, and that's 652 millimetres. Because I didn't want any curve to be less than 600 mil, less than 2 feet, which means I've got to shorten the platforms basically. I had to do it twice over the course of the track plan. But still, this line here can get 5 coaches in, I think. This one can just get 2.5 really, which isn't very good, but we'll see. So as I said, the green line and the red line are the main lines, come into the station here and here, and this red line goes through the middle here, and it would allow another train, like a passing train, to pass through. And this line, the yellow line, is what I've called a freight line, basically, which I will develop further, possibly. So, as you can also see, what any rail does is it puts the heights above what you set as your baseline. So the blue line here, the blue track is at 0. This is doesn't mean it's on the floor. I've just set this at 0, and then the yellow line is 115 millimeters above the blue line, so it's just over 4 inches above this line. So in other words, this line here is going to be a retaining wall. So for example, if someone's coming into the main station here and they need to change to the branch line, which is the blue line, they'll get off the station, get off the train here, over a footbridge and down some steps onto this branch line here, the blue line, which isn't fully developed either. To get this loop in and get the folded loop of the freight line, I've had to raise it above. So at this point, when it comes back on itself, it can easily go above the station. So from here to here, as you can see, it says 185. So that's actually 185 millimeters above this, or it's 70 millimeters above this, which is 115. I hope that makes sense. So this section here is 185 millimeters, and then it starts to fall away here, downwards. So you see that's 185, but the next joint, it's 178, and then comes down to 166. This is a 2.7 gradient down. So if we come down here, coming down 2.7, 140 millimeters, 126, etc. Comes around the corner, which is a 600 millimeter radius corner. We're still dropping down here to this point, which is at 15 millimeters. So once we get past this point, it starts to climb upwards now, 2.8% incline, which is quite a steep incline, I suppose. So that's at 28. The highest point is actually here, 215 millimeters, and then it starts to fall again slightly. So this is an elevated section here. It falls slightly. That's 189 till it gets to 185, and this is a steady flat piece, so it's not actually running down over the station, it's flat until it gets to here and then starts to decline once again. That's the freight line, as I've called it. Hope that makes sense. So anyway, what you can do is, because this is quite confusing, this 2D view, you can click this button here to get a 3D view. So what I'm going to do is we'll take a trip on the 4 tracks, see what it looks like in 3D. So we'll start roughly here in the station on the main line. So click 3D. It takes a few seconds to render because it's a lot of calculations, I would imagine. And then it'll pop up. There we go. So this is roughly the station area. So this centre track is the through track. This is the upper platform, if you like, will be in this space here. This is 2 sidings. This is the elevated section, remember. That's flying over the station there, and an embankment down. On the lower section here is where the branch line is, but we'll see that later. So we'll start, hopefully, on the main line. We'll have a little drive. Which has taken me a long time to get to know how to do. So you've got your control this, by the way, using the up and down arrows and the mouse. So the arrows make it go forward. You can't control the speed, and the mouse makes it turn left and right and up and down and stuff like that. So we're on the main line here. So these are the 2 main lines, which are more or less flat all the way around. We're just about to go over the freight line, which goes underneath there. Okay, so that's a freight line below to the left, and on the right hand side there, that's the freight line on the other side of the loop, and it takes a steep dive down to meet the branch line, as you'll see as we go around. So we're now on the opposite side to the station, and the loft hatch will be on the right. If I can just move over slightly here, you'll be able to see that that's the freight line and the branch line. They'll meet. We'll go on those eventually. And coming up on the left is the freight line. So it's on the same level for a little while, and then it starts to climb. As you can see on that far wall there, as we go around the corner, there's a lot of inclines and declines, lots of ups and downs. We're still on the main line. That's these 2 here on the main line. Once again, down on the right hand side, you can see the branch line disappearing into the tunnel. That's where the storage area will be. And the main line here is going to take a little curve to the left, just slightly underneath the freight line, which will not go around the curve, and then we'll come back into the station. Here it is. That line on the left, by the way, is just a siding disappearing underneath again. So then we come back into the station. Okay, so back on the main line. So this time we'll keep going, and this will be the freight line mostly, this one here. Down below you can see the branch line, which is on a totally different level. So we're on the freight line, and as soon as the freight line more or less leaves the station, it starts to drop on a 2.7% gradient. So it's actually going underneath itself there, by the way. That's what's above. So the freight line is twice as long, because remember it's a folded loop. It's like a figure 8. So this is a cutting here, or possibly a tunnel. I haven't really decided. I think it might be a tunnel actually, or it might be enclosed, this bit. So the on the left there, we're going to go underneath the main line, 2 tracks of the main line there. So we go through, and it curves round, and as it curves round now, it has to start climbing. So it'll eventually come level with the main line on the right hand side there. As you can see, the main line climbing, the main line staying level, the freight line on a very, very stretched out climb, because it has to go above the station now to get over the station. So that's quite high. Okay, so we come around the corner. This is penultimate corner. As you can see, station is over in the top right hand there. The very low level, remember, you've got the branch line, which we will go on next. So we're still climbing at this point, because we have to go over the main line here. That's the main line below, so we have to go over that to get enough height. We also need enough height to be able to go over all the lines in the station. So we come around here, over that siding, and we're back in the area. Those tracks below, by the way, I don't know what they are. They're superfluous. I think they got left. They're very, very low ones. So we're coming over the station here. And this section here, with the brown tracks, is actually the bridge section. That's 85 millimeters, remember, 4 inches, not 4 inches, just over 3 inches, isn't it? Above. So we're still on the freight line, but now we're on the other loop. So we are on a downward slope now, because now what we have to do, the freight line has to meet the branch line so that trains can get access to any track, basically. And the only place they can do that at the moment, unless I change the plan, is right at the bottom, opposite the station, and that's purely to allow sufficient run out. So I didn't have a large gradient. I think 2.8% gradient is the largest one I've got. So we're coming down here. 2 tracks on the left of the main line, remember. So we're coming down on the freight line. The branch line is on our right there, and we're coming down to meet that slightly. That comes up very, very slightly to meet with a point, a crossover, crossing point, if you like. And that's the only place you can actually get onto the branch line at the moment. And then the freight line continues, and once again it's got to climb, because now it has to climb up to the station height. And you can see the branch line there wavering along with its little offshoot to the left into the storage area. So we're coming around, and on the left we've got the main line and the high level freight line, remember, where we started. So we're coming back into the station. This is more or less where we started. And that's where we started, more or less. Okay, so if passengers arrive on the main line here, so they get off the platform, they'll have to cross over the tracks and down here, because there's going to be a retaining wall here, and this is going to be the branch line. Okay, so if I just take a trip on the branch line. So this is the branch line here. There's sidings on the right hand side. So the branch line is more or less the same height all the way around, which I've called 0. I think this bit might be concealed in a tunnel. I was thinking about putting everything in a tunnel on this side, so it's all hidden, so it doesn't look quite so many tracks. So this is the branch line, curves round. It's got a more branchy feel. There's a lot of scenic treatment, I think, for this bit. That's a possibility anyway. It comes around the corner. This brings us onto the opposite wall to the station. And as we come around the corner, you can see the freight line coming down there to meet the branch line. Okay, so the freight line's coming down on the left. This is the branch line. And this, as I've said before, this is the only place where the branch line can get onto the freight line and then ultimately onto the main line if it needs to. So it could make for some interesting operating scenarios. So the branch line comes round again, coming back to its little station, and on the left there is the tracks for the storage, which would go into a tunnel underneath, storage underneath, that would drop down underneath. So it could either be a helix or just a fiddle yard. So we'll go through it, and we're underneath the track, and this would actually be on a downward slope. And that's as far as the track goes at the moment, of course. So there you go, that's the plan so far. Any comments, please get in touch. Any questions about any rail, I'd be pleased to answer them, but it's a great bit of software, and I think it is good value for money. It lets you try lots of different things. Next time we'll be looking at the baseboard construction. Thanks for watching.